this is Marcia, and I'm going to be sharing out some ways to use the iPads in the classroom. If you're blending, if you're using personalized learning, or if you just got devices, this is a series for you. In this series, we're going to be talking about how to use the iPad in the classroom, starting out first of all with my love and my favorite, blended learning. We're going to talk about how to use the iPad when you're doing different activities with the students. Part 2 is going to be talking about using iPads and QR codes, how you can use different QR codes and QR code readers to get those students up and moving within your classroom environment. Part 3 is creating with iPads. We all want to create, we all want to collaborate. So in this series, I'm going to talk about how to actually use different applications and websites that are going to allow you to create. Part 4 is showcasing. How can you showcase your understanding of different content by using the iPad? Part 5 is remembering apps. We still have to have kids memorize different facts or figures or things that are going on within their different curriculum. So in this series of Part 5, we're going to be talking about different applications that we use for that. And then number 6, my favorite apps. These are my top go-to apps that I can use whenever I'm using any curriculum at any given point in time. So you guys ready? Let's get started. So in part 1, we're going to be talking about how to use your iPad. We're going to be talking about how to use it in a mini lesson, how to use it in independent practice, how to use it with digital content. And I'm going to give you some ins and outs that go along with it. So starting with a mini lesson, let me just define what mini lesson means. A mini lesson is when the teacher is teaching content to the students in a small group. So when this teacher brings a small group of students back, she could be using the iPad to have them practice. So if you have iPads there, you can everybody grabs their iPads and their pencils, and they just write away onto their screen. You can screen share. Some of my favorite apps for screen sharing would be Nearpod and Pear Deck. Pear Deck will allow you to push out all the different sites and slides onto the different devices, even when the kids are sitting in a small mini lesson with you. And of course, the iPad is great for note-taking. I love being able to use my pencil and my iPad, and I take notes. And in fact, one of my favorite apps is not in this. It's called let me make sure I know what it is, Note Plus. And Note Plus will actually turn your text, your handwritten messages or notes, into text. So I could just go in, I hit the button, and it will turn my notes into text. Kind of a nice little feature. So using the iPad in the mini lesson is a great way to get those kids to showcase their understanding of different lessons. Of course, independent. There's an app called Shovi. Now this is a replacement. So when you're thinking about the SAMR model, this is just a replacement or substitution, but it is one way to get some teachers who are reluctant for using the iPad into using the iPad. What it does is take a traditional activity sheet and it puts it onto the iPad, and the kids can draw and write onto that. You can use it for reading. Epic is a great one where you can have the kids listen to books that are online and be read to them. You can have kids practicing skills independently. Of course, we are not skill-based, but of course, we want to be able to make sure that they understand the content that we are teaching, like making sure that they know their facts or letter recognition and lower grades and upper grades. Maybe they're just practicing some equations. So that's some ways you can use it in your independent activities. Digital content. Wow, there's so much out there for digital content. We're going to have the kids learning online. They're going to be able to go on to different programs such as Front Row Ed and Prodigy, and they're going to be going to Khan Academy, Learn Zillion. All those different techniques and tools are things you can do in your digital content. What do I mean by digital content? Good question. Digital content is allowing students to learn online through adaptive programs, reteaching content, or watching videos to learn how that content is being delivered or ways to understand it in a different modality. So digital content is a great way to add in applications into your classroom environment. And then, of course, 5 C's. What are the 5 C's? Creating, collaborating, communicating, using critical thinking, and connectedness. The iPad will definitely allow you to do that. It will allow you to put all those things together, and it will allow you to have them creating and showcasing what they're doing. Sometimes when my students are creating different projects like STEM bins or things that go along with that, I have the iPad back there so they can just snap a photo, and then they can share it out using Seesaw. If you don't know about Seesaw, you gotta make sure you get into Seesaw. Great application for showcasing knowledge. But we'll get into that when we get to that. Now this is interesting. When we're doing blended learning and we have devices in the classroom, we don't necessarily want a silent classroom, meaning that every single kid is on a device. In this video, I'm going to showcase a teacher who is from Lee Eaton Elementary, and this is a 6th grade classroom environment, and it is a great example of how you can have a mix of technology, collaboration, and mini lessons. So let's take a look at what Amy has created. So you can see the students are doing interactive notebooks. The teacher in the back is doing a mini lesson. Some kids are on screen time. And then we happen to have students over here doing a collaboration activity where they're working on vocabulary words, and they turn those vocabulary words into a cute little pumpkin. Nice job, Amy. I really like what you did here. So you can see that it's not a silent classroom. The kids are collaborating. They're using a mix of technology. That's what blended learning is all about. Now, in this classroom, it's a great classroom. The teacher has a mini lesson going on, which is, hey, that's fantastic. But what we're seeing is that all the students that are not working with a teacher are on a device. So what's missing here? Talking, collaborating, kids working together. You can still have devices out, but using a good mix is really what we're trying to aim for. So just remember that. Don't have to have one or the other. It's a mix. That concludes part 1 of iPads in the classroom. The biggest takeaway here is thinking about how you can use that iPad when you're teaching a mini lesson, how you can use that iPad when you're doing independent practice. What does it look like when the kids are doing digital content, and how does that fit in? As well as how can the iPad be used in the 5 C's area. Again, my name is Marsha Kish. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in part 2.